Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Poke Relaxing. Hope everybody's doing fantastic out there in Pokeland. It has been a long time since I've made a video, and I certainly apologize for that delay. I have been just crazy, kind of busy, and sort of short on sleep, and trying to stay healthy and kind of mentally fit. So sort of staying up the wee hours of the night doing card stuff has not been something I've been able to pull off, or as able as I would have liked, but I still am very, very active in Pokemon news and content and developments, and just sort of trying to build my portfolio of Pokemon stuff, and constantly thinking about all sorts of topics within Pokemon. So hopefully I can find some ways to kind of squeeze in some time to do some content for y'all. But I did want to check in here. It's not release day for the newest Pokemon set, Journey Together, but it is the day on which I have received the bulk of my Journey Together product, which comes from my distributor. And as you will have noticed from the thumbnail for this video, I did get a good amount of certain products from Journey Together. I'm a very small, store operation, and feel fortunate, frankly, to get anything at this point. So I did feel like the number of products that I got for Journey Together was fantastic. My hope would be that for the next set that comes out, which will be the Team Rocket set, that y'all may have seen, was officially kind of released or announced by the Pokemon company yesterday, I think. They had it up on their site, so you could pre-order from them, but it was very difficult. I did not get any, and quite frankly, don't expect to really have much luck with pre-orders, so I'll be relying, just kind of on whatever I get from my distributor, and hope that I can get, about as much of that set as I got of Journey Together, and if so, I'll be, very, very happy. Yeah, so I thought I would just open some packs here. This is about half full, this box, maybe a touch more than half. The other packs I opened with my kids earlier today, so they actually got some pretty sweet hits. I have one of them. I think this is the best one we've got so far. It is Ends Zoroark. Illustration rare? Not sure what you would call this, but it's a double rare. And it's a 175 out of 159, so it's outside the normal set numbering, therefore it's kind of a special hit. I think we looked this up, and market pricing was something like $35 or something like that. So that might be the best card that we pull out of this. And there were a couple of other kind of illustration rares that we pulled, and those were $20 cards or so. But pricing right now is sort of meaningless, because there isn't much listed and there isn't much that's been sold. So, and oftentimes when a new set comes out in Pokemon, the single cards will be like super inflated for a week or so, while people end up, people open up packs and then find the time to list the cards, and once they do, there's a lot more supply of the singles out there, so prices go down. But it is a crazy market right now, folks. Crazy market. I mean, anybody who's into Pokemon right now, or in the past 6 months, knows that things are seemingly going only in one direction over that time period, and that is up. And a lot of people, I think, thought that probably like a couple weeks ago, 2, 3 weeks ago, um, the sort of constant upward movement in pricing on everything would have to calm down at that time, because there were some reprints of a few products, like 3 or 4 different sets got reprints in a few different formats, mostly booster boxes, and for the sets that actually all of them have these, but basically it's booster boxes and booster bundles. Got reprints for a few sets like Paldean Fates and Surging Sparks and Obsidian Flames, and I think maybe one other set. So when it seemed like the kind of rumors that had been circulating for a while on those reprints were in fact accurate, I think a lot of people assumed that there might be some relief in the pricing. But what has happened is that basically every product that got reprinted is actually moved up in price since those reprints have started to come onto the market. And that's largely because I think, those sets are very popular sets, and as people realized that the reprints weren't really very significant and wouldn't really impact the market, I think they probably got a little bit panicked. I'm gonna throw away these code cards, so please use those if you're one of my 32 subscribers. I hope you can get some value out of those. So yeah, we've gotten reprints of these sets. Nobody's really gotten a ton of product from those reprints, and hasn't really impacted the market at all in a way that has moved things downward. In fact, it seems to have impacted the other way, which is kind of the opposite of what was intended. So anyway, so that's kind of what's been happening over the last couple of weeks. And yeah, I mean, booster boxes of Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift, Stellar Crown, all sort of current era sets. As of today, it's March 25th today. All those sets have booster boxes that are now $200 or more. Never mind, Paldea Evolved, which is like going towards $250 now. I think it's at probably like $230 or something. Or Surging Sparks, which has been above $250 for a while. And never mind this stuff. Booster boxes of Journey Together have like confirmed sales of $300 on TCG Player, which quite frankly is sort of insane. I mean, you go to eBay and you can get boxes for like $230 something or $240. So so it's a little bit weird that people would spend $300 on TCG Player, but I don't know, teach their own. But the point is, yeah, booster boxes are going for insane amounts for this stuff. When Surging Sparks came out, as we got closer and closer to launch day, the pre-order prices, crept up and up and up, and they sort of ended up, at about 160, which is essentially MSRP, which again is just a sort of artificial number, but it is what it is. We'll call it MSRP. And then when it came out, like basically right when pre-orders ended and it peaked at 160, like it dropped down pretty significantly. Well, not significantly. I think it went down to like maybe 140 or something. And people were like, oh, okay, this is a situation where the sort of pre-launch hype just drove up pre-order prices, and it's really just going to be same as every other set, and boxes are going to be $100. Well, turned out not to be true. But in this case, things are even more escalated than they were for Surging Sparks, because pre-order prices on this stuff, again, $300 a box. I mean, they're not all that high. That's kind of the peak, but they are whatever, 260, 70, 80 for a box in pre-order. I mean, that's insane. Again, Surging Sparks, the height of pre-order pricing was 160. Now we're at 260, 270, 280 for this set. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with prices when this stuff launches. Again, there's a huge amount of product that suddenly people want to sell a lot of to sort of take some profit if they got a bunch of it from distribution, and that tends to drive prices down as everybody wants to be the kind of cheapest listing on TCG Player. So that will inevitably, I think, cause a dip in price for a period of time. The question is that period of time 5 minutes, or is it 3 days, or is it 2 weeks? It's probably going to be a shorter period of time, I would imagine, given the hype out there for this stuff. Yeah, it should dip a little bit right away, so that might be your best chance to pick something up. Yeah, you may be wondering, so what is Poke Relaxing doing with his booster box haul, or product haul? And the answer is I really have no idea. I did sell a couple of boxes to a customer who had purchased from me in the past and had reached out to me. And I said, you know what, I'll sell you, a few things at MSRP. And so we sent those off today. Hello, if you're watching, valued customer. But, other than that handful of stuff, I still have everything that I'm not opening with the kids, or, right now. And, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, because, I don't know. I don't really want to sell stuff on, like, eBay or TCG Player. It's kind of like the fees just sort of make it, on principle, like, unsavory to me. But I also don't really want to charge like anywhere near market to like my customers, because it feels like it's just, I don't know, too high. So then it's like, well, okay, I mean, I could sell it for cheaper than market, but then the question is like, how much cheaper? And that's where I just get stuck. Like, I don't know. I mean, again, I sold some at MSRP, and that's basically like 50% off. 50% off like market pricing. So it seems like maybe that's not the best thing to do. I mean, I know some guys like, Danny Phantom, and Brian from PokeNE. I mean, they're selling at MSRP kind of as a marketing thing. I say that mostly with respect to Brian from PokeNE. I think he's just trying to build, like a mailing list that's huge, and so he says, like, sign up for a mailing list and you'll get notified when I have this stuff for sale at a really good price. And then he's got like probably 100,000 people signed up, and he can do email blasts when he gets new, I don't know, Japanese Pokemon stuff in, which is going to be a lot more accessible than some of this English stuff. So I mean, it's a smart move. I think it's a good idea, but I don't know, I don't see myself wanting to do that. I don't really just want to like liquidate. So, and another thing I've seen is, some of the people that I follow, like on YouTube, who are like sort of investor, I don't know, kind of commentators, like Rudy from Elf Investments. He does like kind of sales all the time that he offers to his Patreon members, of which I am recently one of. So he did something where it was like, he sold like a bundle of 2 booster boxes of Journey Together, and it was like, what the hell was it? It was like, I think it was like something like $240 a box, and if you buy 2, so it's like $480 for 2, and again, that's, it's a little better than what you do on TCG Player. And like, he sold out in an hour when he did that, and his market is, or his, sort of subscribers are all pretty sophisticated buyers, so they're, ooh, we got something. I see the kind of like fingerprinty surface of that card back there. That means we got a hit. So anyways, so I don't know, there seems to be a very hot market for these things at like the $240 a box pricing. And that includes shipping, which anything over like $150 that I sell includes shipping too. So, okay, we got a Volcanion, 171 out of 159. I'm not sure what you call these. It's not like an illustration rare. It's like a different type of card, but it is a full art and it's textured. So it's pretty rare, just because, it's there's not many of these out there. I would bet this is like a $10 or $15 card right now. But, in 6 months it'll be a $2 card, most likely. But still, another full art. It's cool to have. So, anyway, so, yeah, I don't know. I could get rid of some boxes that way, but I'm not super motivated because, a part of me just wants to do the lazy thing, which is nothing. Since, my goal with most things that I get sealed is to hang on to them for, 3 to 5 years and see what happens over that time period. And the problem with that is that if you double your money over 3 years on an investment, you're feeling pretty good about that investment. But what happens when you buy that investment and then like 2 months later you double your money? I don't know what you do. You liquidate half of it, keep half of it. You just keep it all and stick with the 3 to 5 year hold plan. You just sell it all and try to buy some more stuff. I don't know. I don't know. So, interested to have your comments. So this is a cool full art Swinub. This definitely goes in my adorable Pokemon collection. It has like little tiny or like baby Pokemon in full arts. That's cool. So yeah, another thing that's happened. Oh boy, a bunch of stuff actually has happened. So I want to tell you guys about a this past weekend, I went to Minneapolis with some friends of mine. We just kind of wanted to hang out a little bit, eat some good food, and hang out in a cool city. We're all kind of into Pokemon. I'm probably more into the, collecting of cards. They're kind of more into the sort of just, loving the cartoons from when they were kids and, playing the games, be it Pocket TCG or occasional in-person card game. So, we ended up, trying to kind of find some cool Pokemon stuff in the city. Went to a couple of LGSs, and they were complete nightmares. Had pretty much like nothing of interest. Actually, one of them didn't have any like good Pokemon stuff, but it had a ton of really cool vintage Star Wars toys and vintage video games, like old Nintendo cartridges and stuff. So that was actually pretty cool, but it was a bust from a Pokemon perspective. And then another one we went to was it was sort of a classical LGS. There was like a ton of people playing different CCGs in the back, and they had just a ton of figurines and magic packs and very little Pokemon though. So, and what they did have was exorbitantly priced. So that was kind of a bummer. And then there were a couple of card shows because it was the weekend, and we went to one on Saturday that had basically it was probably about like 40 or 50 tables, and only 2 of them had Pokemon stuff. So it was pretty lame. EX, I think there. It was pretty lame from that perspective, but I did buy a few things, so it wasn't a total waste. And then on Sunday, which was when we were going to head back home, I knew there was a card show, but it was kind of in the wrong direction of home, so I didn't really think about going. But I was watching my favorite, well, not my favorite, but one of my favorite YouTubers called PokeBeard, who is a Minnesotan, which I, have always known. Dunsparce. Code card. And anyway, so I was going for a little sort of jog on the treadmill at the hotel, and as I almost always do when I do that, I started watching some Pokemon content on YouTube, and his he usually does a video on like Sunday these days, and this will probably be the last pack I open. I gotta save the rest for my daughter, who I'm sure is gonna want some when she wakes up in the morning. It's kind of like Christmas or Hanukkah or something around here when these new sets come out. But I was watching the latest video from PokeBeard, and sure enough, he says, "Hey, there's this card show coming up, in Minnesota." It was in St. Paul, which is right next to Minneapolis, and he says he's going to be there, and you should come out and say hello if you're in the area. So I said, "Son of a gun, that's a message from somewhere that I need to go to the show." So yeah, told my friends, "Hey, look, we got to make one stop here." And they were down, and we rolled on over to St. Paul to this card show. And I was really curious to see. I sort of suspected that, if PokeBeard was going to be there, it probably was going to have a good amount of Pokemon compared to the show that we were at on Saturday. But it actually had almost all Pokemon. I mean, it was like 90% Pokemon, and you could barely even tell there were sports cards there. And I kind of felt sorry for I don't know if I should feel sorry for the sports card people, because probably there was a number of people there looking for sports cards, and if there's only 4 tables that have them, probably going to be good for business. But anyways, just a ton of Pokemon cards. I mean, I was in absolute heaven in that place, and my only regret was I had no idea such a great show was going to be in town at that time. So I'd brought a little bit of cash with me, just kind of for spending and tipping and stuff like that, but I didn't really have enough to do any major damage, which I might have done, because there was definitely some multiple $1,000 booster, vintage booster boxes that I was interested in there. But and I suppose I could have done Venmo, but I don't know. I'm not a super big fan of doing payment that way if I don't absolutely have to, and I didn't absolutely have to at this point, because I obviously had not intended to buy anything at the show. But anyways, yeah, so went to the show, tons of Pokemon, and a lot of it was kind of repetitious, I found. But I guess that's probably a lot of things, right? Like sports card shows are like that too. But there was definitely some stuff that was awesome. Like one dealer just had a ton of vintage packs, and that's something where, man, I wish I would have just had a bunch of money and hopefully could have made a nice play on a group of packs, because I do love to collect as many different vintage packs as I can. But yeah, I just didn't have the time or cash with me to do that. So there's a ton of that. There was, plenty of unopened stuff. Most of it kind of more modern that doesn't really interest me that much. But I did get to meet Pokebeard and had a really nice conversation with him, and hope to maybe be collaborating with him on some stuff, at least with the card shop that I have, where I've got a lot of inventory and, could probably do some interesting things with him. So, and he actually had some really cool kind of like Sword and Shield era and Sun and Moon era, like collector tins, like those lunchbox things. And those ended up being pretty awesome. I bought some for my kids because I had to, of course, come back with gifts. And I knew, I wanted Pokemon stuff because they love Pokemon cards. But those were really neat. And we ended up actually getting some kind of really cool cards out of like the Sun and Moon packs that were in these things. So that's pretty awesome. Anyways, yeah, super cool. And I feel like I saw that this same show is going to be happening again, like sometime in the next month or two. So I very well am going to look at that, my calendar, and see if possibly I could get out there for that and pick up especially some of that vintage unopened stuff that I'm super fond of. But the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was, yesterday we got the announcement for the newest set from Pokemon, the Team Rocket. I'm going to pull up a window here, one sec. Yeah, so here's the page at Pokemon Center where they have listed the newest forthcoming set, Destined Rivals, which is a sort of Team Rocket focus set that will include all of the cards from the current, most recent Japanese set, and then another set that's on the way in Japan. And yeah, this is one that people have been anticipating and kind of salivating over for many months. So I sort of said to myself, look, you're not going to get any of the pre-orders at Pokemon Center. It is going to be a bloodbath out there. And I was pretty much accurate. Although I have to say, I was at the gym when I saw the announcement on this, and the queuing system that Pokemon Center now uses for, their drops is basically, I think, useless on mobile browsers like I had on my phone. So I pulled it up, but I just think it doesn't even work. And didn't see any change in it the whole hour or so I was watching from my mobile device. But then I got home, went to my computer, logged on, and basically by then it was kind of over. The queuing system was still going, but like I would get in the queue, and then half an hour later I would make it through the website, but then things were showing sold out, so not so good. But anyways, yeah, this is a mainline set, so we'll have booster boxes, and they also had the booster bundles, sleeve boosters, and the Pokemon Center exclusive ETB for the usual prices that they've got all the Scarlet and Violet stuff at. And I'm told that the purchase limit of the ETB was 1 per customer. I don't know if there was a limit on booster boxes or if you could get like a case, for example, but I'm kind of thinking it was limited. I wonder if they have the, oh yeah, they purchase limit of 1. So they do have the limited information there. Let's see what it was here. Yeah, limit of 1. So I didn't feel like I missed out that much, because with the purchase limit of 1, and the inability to get like a case of these, which you haven't been able to do since Surging Sparks, because actually, Journey Together, let's see, yeah, Journey Together was 2 max per customer. So the last complete sealed case you could get was Prismatic Evolutions, and they actually sold like half of the PC ETBs with a case limit of 4, and I actually got 2 of those. And then they changed it midstream, so the limit was 2, and then you couldn't get a complete case after that point because you need to get 4 for a complete case. So in any event, yeah. So like the only thing, right, that you can't get, somewhat easily at like Target or in my case through distribution, is the PC ETBs, and you can only get one. So you didn't really lose much if you didn't get one of these. I mean, these are going to be selling for 400, 500 bucks when they finally come out, and they're selling for 60. So yeah, you lost 300 and whatever, $50 in opportunity there, but you didn't lose, $350 times 4 like you would have if you could have ordered Surging Sparks, PC ETBs in case quantities. So yeah, I would like to have one of these, but I'm not super, super motivated to get it. And if I never get one, it's fine. Hopefully I'll get some product some other place from this set. But yeah, like it's a little bit weird to think about pre-order prices on something that like just was launched 2 days ago. But sure enough, there are places out there that are allowing you to pre-order booster boxes of Destined Rivals, which is supposed to come out in May, I think the end of May. And they're charging like 400 bucks for these booster boxes, which is pretty much insane. Again, I guess maybe not that insane because Journey Together is pre-selling at $300 right now, and people are buying, at least one person anyways. So Destined Rivals is supposed to be a much better set. It's way more anticipated. It will have a lot more people after it. So maybe 400 bucks is actually quite reasonable. I don't know, but it is a little bit insane to think about a booster box starting off at $400. I mean, in some regards, it makes sense because, again, like Journey Together signed for 300, Surging Sparks, getting close to 300 after being out for whatever 6, 7, 8 months. So $400 for a super highly anticipated set that is going to have some awesome chase cards. Doesn't sound completely insane, but if you told somebody, I don't know, like 2-3 sets into Scarlet and Violet that there were going to be booster boxes selling for $400 out of the gate, like they would just think you're off your rocker, because until that, up until Surging Sparks, every booster box was $100 when it came out, and some of them stayed that way for a long time. So yeah, crazy times we live in, but I don't know. I don't know what will cause us to slow down, unless just a ton of people decide all of a sudden, they're not interested anymore. They're going to liquidate, what they've got, and they're just going to get out, and they're not going to be a buyer, that will help drive prices up for new sets like this when they come out. I think the most likely, reason for things to cool down relatively quickly would just be, sort of global economic strife, I don't know, conflicts and wars and stuff like that, or just, kind of a good old-fashioned crash of the U.S. economy, which, can happen at any time, and certainly there are reasons to think it may at all times, and sometimes more so than others, but that can definitely impact, I think, something like the collectibles market. But on the other hand, a lot of times when the economy has crashed, the sort of alternative investments markets like art, sports cards, sports collectibles, things like that, do better because people suddenly can't make money terribly easy investing in the stock market. So they have a lot of cash, but they also want to put some money to work, and so they can look to alternative investments like art and sports cards, and these days Pokemon. So there's no telling, even with a more global kind of economic driver, what might happen to this market. But it will be interesting to see. That is for sure. All right, folks, that's all. That's what I got for today. I hope everybody's doing fantastic out there. I do look forward to sharing some more content with you guys. And I do think, gosh, I would really love to figure out a way to do some streaming. I mean, I know how to stream. I do lots, I have done lots of streaming. It's really about the time, because it does take a long time to stream. I mean, you really want to clear out 2-3 hours of an evening in order to stream. So that is a big commitment for me right now. But I would love to, do some like rip and ships of a bunch of Journey Together packs with you all, and hopefully could, deliver that at a price that's probably better than most other alternatives out there. So yeah, hopefully I'll figure that out and bring some cool content to you guys. So, give a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully you'll be notified when that stuff comes around. So, all right, well, let me know what you're doing with Journey Together in the comments. Where are you looking to pick up your products? If you haven't, like, kind of got pre-orders that are coming to you, did you score a lot of pre-orders from like GameStop and from Pokemon Center? If you did get a bunch of product, are you opening a lot of it, or are you mostly keeping it sealed, or are you selling it right away while the market is, crazy on this? I would love to hear from everybody and see what you're doing with Journey Together. Yeah, that's what we got, folks. All right, we'll see you next time. Till then, stay relaxed. All right, bye now.